Welcome back to the Hall Pass Summer School. I'm Brighton Fears.
I'm Gus Brown.
And I'm Gage Creaky. And today we are joined by Emily Allen, the mayor of Ottawa, Kansas. Miss Allen, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. I've lived here in Ottawa for about 17 years. I've had some jobs here in town. I've worked at the hospital before and done kind of different things in town. Right now I work for Garmin. So I drive up there 3 days a week and work from home 2 days, which allows me to do all the meetings and things kind of like today. So I have lots of kids, a couple cats, a really big dog. So we're busy. We're busy people.
So can you take us back to when you first decided to run for mayor? What was the moment that sparked that decision?
Yeah, so that actually goes back to kind of the time period that I said. About 17 years ago, I had my son, and I knew that I wanted him to stay around. You know, when you have kids, you want them to live, you know, where you're at.
Stay close.
Yes, have grandkids around and things. So I knew that was one of my goals, and so I wanted to make the city be as good as it can be. And I kind of started serving on boards and eventually moved on to this position to try to make sure that happens.
As mayor of like a small town as Ottawa, what has been the toughest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
I would say this might be a cheesy answer, but one of the toughest challenges is since it's a small town, you know a lot of people.
Yes.
And so a decision that I make may make someone mad. And I've had those situations before where it's been, hey, you know, I'm not a huge fan of this, but they're also my friend. And so you can run into some conflicts that way just because of how small the town is. And usually by the time you kind of talk to your friends and everybody, let them know what's going on and explain things, you can usually kind of work it out. But sometimes it can put you in a tough spot.
Now, you've been on several community boards. Have those experiences changed policies or affected your decisions?
I would say it has, being on different boards has definitely opened my eyes to the kind of how to rely on other people. Everybody has their strengths. I'll just say I go cross-eyed when I'm looking at budget season and see all these numbers, and it's just pages and pages and hours of numbers. But, you know, we have a commissioner that used to be a banker, and he loves the numbers, so that's his passion. And so kind of relying on people, learning to rely on people to use their strengths on those boards has been really helpful. You don't have to know it all, but if you surround yourself with the right people who, you know, do kind of know those things, then it makes a successful board. So that was one of the things that I learned pretty quickly when serving was, you know, you don't have to be an expert in all the things, but know who to go to for those.
If you could wave a magic wand, what 3 things would you change in Ottawa to make it a better place?
Okay. A Chipotle, because I love Chipotle.
Okay.
I would have an indoor pool, just because I think that would be really nice. And I would have perfect streets, just because that's one thing that everybody complains about. So
It's one of the questions.
Yeah. So you know, those would be my 3 things, and we're working on a couple of those. I mean, I can't say that we're working on a Chipotle, but we're definitely working on streets and hopefully an aquatic center in the future.
Mm-hmm. Streets is also really difficult to do anyways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
If you weren't mayor, what other career pathway might you have taken?
So how mayor works here is we, amongst the 5 commissioners, it's called First Among Equals, so we select our mayor between us. So one of us serves as mayor for a year. So whereas some places it might be more of a career path, here it's just kind of additional work, I guess you would say. So it hasn't really affected my career path. But like I said, I work at Garmin and I love my job and I love working for that company, and it's a great company and people are always outside playing flag football or disc golf or, you know, it's fun. But public service is what I'm passionate about, and so this has allowed me to also have that in addition to my job. So I wouldn't say a different career path, but this has definitely allowed me to fulfill that part of it.
Okay. Can you tell us about a community project or initiative that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah, so if you guys are on Ottawa, Kansas news, which you just ignore it, if you're on it, you will know about Proximity Park and the industrial park that we had purchased. It was 300 acres of land, kind of about 10 years ago. I was actually on the commission then, and purchased it thinking someday someone's going to want to build a business there. And it's those moments that I'm proud of, when it's like 10 years ago we couldn't have really known that it would be successful, but you take the chance and hope. And right now we're finally seeing that come through. So that's definitely something I'm proud of, taking those moments when you can be, think of the future of the city and just hope that it works.
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest opportunity for Ottawa in the next few years, and how do you plan to grab hold of it?
Mm-hmm. So the industrial park's definitely one. We had the 300 acres ready to go, but when we ran the utilities and everything for it, that opened up many more acres. So there are other businesses that could go in there if they ever decide to develop that. One of the areas that I see probably growing the fastest in the city, though, is housing. I think that's a big area that will probably, over the next few years, really start taking off. So I think that's exciting.
Has there ever been a moment in your term as mayor where you had to make a tough decision that not everyone agreed with?
Absolutely. There's been a lot. There's been times when you're going to make people mad, and you just deal with that. But also, honestly, there's been times where I've had to vote in a way that I wouldn't have personally voted. But you have to remind yourself, I'm speaking for all of the other citizens of Ottawa, not just me. And so there has been a vote where all of the feedback I had received was completely opposite of how I would have voted, and so I had to vote that way anyway. So there's definitely always tough decisions, and that's why we're put into these spots. And then also, if people don't like them, it gives them the opportunity to vote someone new in. So.
What's your favorite part of being mayor, and what also keeps you motivated?
I would say my favorite part is going to kind of the fun events, which not like, parties or anything, but like the Special Olympics torch run that was just here, being invited to go see those things that maybe I wouldn't have normally known was going on, or maybe I also wouldn't have managed to take the time to make that fit into my schedule. So that's fun. Just kind of being present at all of the events is one of my favorite things, keeps me motivated. And just when we have a win, like when we have something like the Proximity Park that is happening, it's starting to happen, or you see movement on a project, that definitely keeps me motivated.
So you've been involved with Ottawa Main Street. Can you tell us about some of the projects or goals that organization and how they benefit the community?
Yeah, so Ottawa Main Street works with, it's what it sounds like. It works with the Main Street businesses to help them with anything they need, help promote them. And, one of the things that I always like about Main Street, they do the corners, and it might sound small, but downtown, they have the corners with all the plants and everything, and but people notice that. I actually overheard someone talking, I think it was maybe at Corner Market the other day, and they were talking about how beautiful the corners are, and so that's one of their initiatives that they do, and it makes a big difference.
Do you collaborate with mayors or officials from other cities in Kansas or beyond? Yeah,
absolutely. So we have a meeting once a year with other Kansas commissioners or council members, whatever they may want to call it. So we meet with them. It's always in Topeka. More than once a year. So then there's a different event, usually later in the year. That everybody can get together as well. We kind of learn about what policies are being made for the state of Kansas that would impact, local municipalities, things like that. And then we have once a year, we have National League of Cities. So we go to Washington, D.C., and we meet with mayors and commissioners from all over the country. And we learn a lot from that because it's interesting because people who are, it doesn't matter if you're a small city, if you're a big city, if you're a little town, we all have the same problems. And so it's always good to kind of hear what those people are doing to try to fix them. And, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can kind of, take a cue from what they're doing.
What's your favorite memory or event from your time as mayor so far?
Oh, favorite event. I love the car show, and I know that's not just a specific mayor event, but I do love the car show, and being downtown. Yeah, I don't think there's a specific event other than that. Time, just kind of. Mayor is a year long. It's a year term for Ottawa, and that goes by so fast. And so it's cheesy, but it's all been my favorite so far. Every day, when you do something different, you're like, oh, that was really special. So you enjoy it while you have it.
Well, thank you for joining us, Miss Allen.
Yeah.
I'm Brad Fear.
I'm Gus Brown.
And I'm Gage Creaky.
And this has been the Hall Pass Summer. Thanks for watching the Hall Pass Summer School. Don't forget to like and subscribe.